Lloyd Singleton with us today to talk to us about summer color. Welcome, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Now, in the heat of summer, we can't grow a lot of the plants that people are used to growing up north in the summertime.
That's right. A lot of Central Floridians are transplants from the Northeast and Ohio, and they may be used to having their geraniums and marigolds and petunias just doing beautifully all summer long. That's not going to happen here in July and August at all. Those kind of bedding plants are much better in the cooler spring and fall season. So we have to look at some other options to make some summer color show up in our gardens.
So what can we plant in the summertime?
Well, there's a lot of different plants. Many of them are native too. I have actually some samples here that I want to talk about. Some can be used as bedding plants, some as annuals, but also some as perennials. We have this one, a little daisy type flower, and in general the daisy shaped flowers are going to be more heat tolerant. This one is actually a ground cover called beach dune sunflower, Helianthus debilis.
That only gets, it's pretty short, right?
It is. It can mound up to about 12 or 18 inches tall, but it does have nice color on it all summer long. Now, it may die back in the freeze, but it will come back from the roots every spring.
And it's a nice ground cover.
Yes, exactly. And then this one is good old black-eyed Susan, Rudbeckia, and another native plant, and gets some height to it, probably 2-3 feet tall, but it's a nice bush and very perennial. Again, these aster type or daisy shaped flowers in yellows and oranges are often more heat tolerant. This one is Gaillardia, and it is another native, also called blanket flower or Indian blanket flower, and again the color of the orange and the yellow is very nice and a good summer option. Then we also have a number of salvias. Perennial salvias in particular do very well in our heat and bloom all summer long. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some are considered annuals, but the perennials actually get much larger.
And different colors as well, so we can get some reds and some blues, purples.
Pinks and purples and even white in the salvia range, yeah, which is a nice color contrast to the oranges and yellows.
Now, should the pot tell you how high it gets, though? Because you're not really sure when you get a salvia how big it's going to get?
No, you need to know the variety. Salvia leucantha, for instance, is a Mexican bush sage and will get almost up to 5 feet tall. So you can, really will have some variation in the different varieties, but you need to do the research before you buy.
And not just buy on impulse when you see it there.
Correct,
Okay.
And then make sure that you have that, you give that space enough room. There's another flower that I think is particularly beautiful. It's a passion flower. It's a
now this is a vine.
A vine, but it also serves as a ground cover and can fill in a lot of space. But it has just a beautiful flower there in purple and
really
takes
exotic looking.
Very exotic. Mm-hmm.
And that's really good for butterfly larvae.
It sure is. It sure is. So don't kill the caterpillars, just let them become the butterflies. Right.
What about some other plants, trees or shrubs?
Well, trees, I think one of my favorite options is one that's a Florida-friendly landscape plant, and that's crepe myrtle. Now, crepe myrtles come in all sizes, too.
Yeah, they can go from
being a shrub form all the way to...
I've seen them in hanging baskets even.
True, true. But the most spectacular varieties of crepe myrtle are actually the tree form. You can either have a standard, which means a single trunk, or a multi-trunk crepe myrtle, and many of them get to 20 feet tall and have color all summer long.
And once again, you should choose it really based on the size of the plant and what you want rather than just the color.
Correct.
Because we don't want to have to do that really hard pruning all the time. Crepe myrtle, yes.
No, we don't want to do crepe myrtle. We do just want to selectively prune a crepe myrtle.
And you really don't have to prune anything, but you don't have to prune anything on a crepe myrtle, really. But if you want to, you can come back and prune off the old flowers so you don't have the seeds.
The old seed pods can be removed and often promote a little bit more flowering. But a great range of color, everything white, light pink, purple, lavender, to reds and hot pinks.
There's new reds that are really true reds now, right?
And they're very, very beautiful.
Some other flowering trees?
Some of the cassias will do well here. We have to look at microclimates because parts of Lake and Sumter counties are going to be warmer than other parts. You want to stay away from anything that's too tropical, like a poinciana or a jacaranda, unless you happen to be on that side of a lake that keeps it a little bit warmer than others. But,
Mount Dora has some beautiful yellow poincianas blooming right now.
Yes, they do. And you might not be able to get away with that in North Sumter County, for instance. But again, if you know your area, you'll find some tree options that do provide
What
summer
about
color.
Bohenia? It's an orchid tree.
The Hong Kong orchid is a good one. Bohenia blakeiana, it's the sterile one. Some Bohenias are actually considered invasive because they reseed so easily, but this is a sterile hybrid. A very, very nice tree with a purple bloom.
Okay.
And then we also have options for shrubs. Shrubs are a great way to add color in the landscape. Duranta gold mound is an option. It's almost a chartreuse color.
Oh, that's the very small, low growing, but there's also a dewdrop, it's a Duranta that's taller.
Correct, golden dewdrop that will have a yellow seed on it and a purple flower. It's a very nice summer grower. I even have here a sample of a pomegranate, which is actually, it will produce a fruit that is edible, but it has a great orange seed and flower on it all summer long too.
Wow, that's very nice.
Very unusual. Yes. And a fairly small plant.
But the fruit is really not the edible type pomegranate, is it?
No, this is an ornamental actually. Okay. Yeah, it's grown for the orange color. Yeah. So there's plenty of options with...
Now, are there other shrubs that you would look at more for their foliage color? Like you mentioned the gold mound Duranta is more for the foliage color rather than flowers. Mm-hmm. Are there other shrubs that would be for color?
There are. Nandina firepower is a very pretty foliage, multicolored, kind of orange and red and green and white all mixed together. You can also have a hibiscus. Now, hibiscus are probably going to freeze, may or may not come back from the root, but Snow Queen and several varieties of hibiscus have multicolored foliage, which is very interesting. Oh. Some hibiscus will grow here also and have flower color in the summer, so it's a nice tropical to use. Croton is another one that, again, is tropical, so you may have to protect it from a freeze or plan to replant, but it's a great one to have lots of leaf color. Croton petra, Croton mammy, a number of varieties of croton are beautiful in the color.
Now, there are some other shrubs. I was thinking of the hamamelis, or the Mexican fire bush, is it called? And
Hamelia.
Hamelia, sorry.
Yes, exactly. and Hamelia is actually a Florida native and has a beautiful orange flower and does beautifully all summer. Loves the heat, loves it here. It will die back again in the wintertime with freeze, but it comes right back in the spring. Also is a great butterfly and wildlife attractor. So Hamelia is a very good option for a shrub.
And there's other vines as well. Trumpet, now I'm not sure, some of these might be invasives, I'm not sure, but trumpet creeper or coral vine, there's several different vines that we might use.
Those are both good vines. The other thing I wanted to point out about vines are a great option to provide a little bit of shade, because if you have say a swing or something and you can have a trellis on it, and then you can actually shade that garden element with the vine, and that will actually help keep things cooler.
Well, what about in shady areas? That brings up the whole issue of the shade. In shady areas, you can't grow a lot of these things like this.
That's right. If you put something like a black-eyed Susan in the deep shade, it's not going to bloom at all. It may survive, but it isn't going to be pretty, it isn't going to add color. So there you need to use things like caladiums, and bromeliads are a very nice option to add color in deep shade.
And those are both the foliage is what we're looking at, not flowers. So
exactly.
You don't have to worry about making them flower.
Exactly. A number of the bromeliad cultivars now are super colorful. Reds and oranges, yellows, purples, pinks. Great foliage color in the bromeliads.
Now those would be perennials, but you could have some annuals like coleus that might provide a lot of color.
You're right.
Shade
Coleus is a great summer lover, and there's some varieties that will take the full sun, but coleus do tend to do better. Same with caladiums. Some caladiums will take full sun, but most of them do better in a bit of shade.
Is there anything we need to do to take care of them in the summertime, any of the plants in the summertime? Special tips?
The critical thing is during the establishment period, making sure they stay well watered. And then if you do have a period of drought and you don't have a good irrigation system or you're not watering, just don't push their growth too much with fertilizer. Just kind of keep them watered as needed, or let the summer rains take care of them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.